I've been wrenching on Ram trucks since 2004. In that time, I've rebuilt engines, diagnosed failures, and watched patterns emerge that dealerships won't tell you about. Today, I'm ranking every major Ram engine from worst to best based on real-world reliability, common failures, and repair costs I've seen thousands of times. If you're buying a used Ram or trying to decide which engine to avoid, this video could save you from an $8,000 mistake. Stay until the end because the engine ranked number 1 will surprise you. It's not what most people think. Let's start with the worst and work our way up. Hashtag 7 worst, 3.0-liter EcoDiesel V6, 2014 to 2019. The EcoDiesel promised fuel economy and torque. What it delivered was catastrophic failure and class action lawsuits. I've seen more EcoDiesels grenaded before 100,000 miles than any other Ram engine, and that's saying something. The main killer is the emissions system. The EGR cooler cracks, dumps coolant into the intake, and hydrolocks the engine. When that happens, connecting rods bend, pistons crack, and you're looking at $12,000 to $15,000 for a replacement engine. The EGR valve itself fails constantly, sticking open and causing rough running, loss of power, and check engine lights. Replacement runs $800 to $1,200, and it'll fail again in 30,000 miles. Then there's the timing chain. These stretch prematurely, especially in 2014 to 2016 models. When the chain stretches, valve timing goes off. The engine runs rough, and eventually the chain skips. If it skips while running, valves hit pistons and the engine is done. I've replaced timing chains on EcoDiesels with 60,000 miles. That repair is $3,500 to $4,500. The fuel system is another nightmare. High-pressure fuel pumps fail, injectors clog, and the entire fuel system is stupidly expensive to repair. A single injector is $400. You have 6 of them. Do the math. Oil consumption became so bad that Fiat Chrysler extended the warranty and eventually redesigned the engine for 2020. If you have a 2014 to 2019 EcoDiesel, budget $2,000 to $3,000 per year in repairs after the warranty expires. If you're buying used, avoid this engine completely unless it's practically free and you enjoy financial pain. 6. 3.6-liter Pentastar V6, 2013 to present. The Pentastar isn't terrible, but it's not great either. It's adequate. The problem is Ram put this engine in a full-size truck where it's constantly working too hard, and that causes problems. The biggest issue is the left cylinder head. I've replaced more left heads on Pentastars than I can count. The problem is a design flaw in the cooling passages that causes the head to crack between the valve seats. Once it cracks, you get coolant in the oil in the coolant, and eventually a $3,500 to $4,500 head replacement. This happens most commonly between 80,000 and 120,000 miles. The rocker arms fail. Pentastar rocker arms use a needle-bearing design that wears out, causing ticking, rough running, and eventually valve train damage. Replacing all the rockers runs about $1,200 to $1,800. It's not catastrophic, but it's annoying, and it will happen. Water pumps fail early. I've replaced Pentastar water pumps at 50,000 miles. The pump is integrated with the timing cover, so when it fails, you're looking at $600 to $900 in labor alone, because half the front of the engine has to come apart. The Pentastar's real problem is that it's underpowered for a Ram 1500. Owners constantly have their foot in it trying to merge, pass, or tow, and that accelerates wear. If you drive it gently and stay on top of maintenance, it'll go 200,000 miles. If you tow regularly or drive aggressively, expect problems before 100,000. Fuel economy is decent at 18 to 20 miles per gallon combined, and when it's running right, it's smooth and quiet. But for my money, I'd spend the extra $1,500 on a 5.7 Hemi and get an engine that's actually designed for truck duty. 5. 4.7 liters. V8, 2002 to 2013. The 4.7 doesn't get enough respect. Yes, it's old. Yes, it's thirsty at 14 to 16 miles per gallon. But this engine is damn near bulletproof if you maintain it. The iron block and forged internals make this thing tough. I've seen 4.7 seconds with 300,000 miles still running strong. The engine doesn't have cylinder deactivation, variable valve timing, or any of the complexity that kills modern engines. It's simple, and simple lasts. The main problem is valve seats. In high-mileage engines, especially those that ran on cheap gas, the valve seats can drop out of the head. When that happens, the valve falls into the cylinder and destroys everything. Repair cost is $4,000 to $6,000 for rebuild heads. But this typically doesn't happen until 200,000 plus miles, and it's preventable with good fuel and regular valve adjustments. The exhaust manifolds crack. This is common on all Dodge 5.8s from this era. You'll hear a ticking sound that gets worse when cold. Replacement manifolds run $800 to $1,200 installed. Annoying, but not catastrophic. Water pumps fail around 100,000 miles. It's a $400 repair. Thermostat stick. Another $200. These are maintenance items, not design flaws. The 4.7 makes 310 horsepower in later versions, which is adequate but not exciting. Towing capacity maxes out around 8,000 pounds. It's not a powerhouse, but it's reliable, and in the Ram world, reliability is worth more than horsepower. If you find a low-mileage 4.7 Ram for cheap, buy it. Change the oil every 5,000 miles, replace the cooling system at 100,000, and it'll outlast most modern engines. 4. 5.7-liter Hemi V8, 2009 to present. Here's where it gets controversial. The 5.7 Hemi should be higher on this list, but the lifter issue destroyed its reputation and my ranking. When the 5.7 works, it's fantastic. It makes 395 horsepower, gets decent fuel economy for a V8 at 15 to 17 miles per gallon, combined, and it sounds great. The engine pulls strong from idle to redline and has enough torque to tow 10,000 pounds without breaking a sweat. But then there's the lifter tick of death. Starting around 2013, Ram switched to a different lifter supplier, and those lifters are garbage. The roller on the lifter seizes, the camshaft wears a flat spot, and you get a ticking sound that turns into a tapping sound that turns into a metal-on-metal grinding sound. Once the cam is damaged, you're looking at $4,500 to $6,500 for camshaft and lifter replacement. This happens most commonly between 60,000 and 100,000 miles. I've seen it as early as 30,000. And here's the worst part. Replacing the lifters doesn't always fix it permanently. I've done lifter jobs that failed again in 40,000 miles because the new lifters were from the same garbage supplier. Ram issued a TSB and extended warranties on some trucks, but not all. If you have a 2013 plus 5.7 Hemi, use full synthetic oil. Change it every 5,000 miles and pray. Some owners have had success switching to high zinc oil or adding ZDDP additives, but that's a band-aid, not a fix. The other common failure is the exhaust manifold bolts. They break, causing exhaust leaks and ticking sounds. Repair is $600 to $1,000. The MDS system, cylinder deactivation, can cause issues with oil consumption and fouled plugs. I recommend MDS delete for high-mileage trucks. Despite the lifter problem, the 5.7 is still a solid engine if you get lucky or buy pre-2013. The iron block and forged crank mean it can handle abuse. I've seen 5.7 seconds with 250,000 miles that never had lifter issues. It's a gamble, and that's why it's number 4 instead of number 2. 3. 6.7-liter Cummins turbo diesel. i6, 2007 to present. The Cummins is legendary, and for good reason. This engine will outlast the truck it's bolted to. I've rebuilt Cummins engines with 500,000 miles that looked almost new inside. The cast iron block, forged internals, and overbuilt design mean this thing laughs at hard work. But it's not perfect, and it's not cheap to fix when things go wrong. The emission system is the weak link. EGR coolers fail, DPF filters clog, and DEF systems throw codes constantly. A clogged DPF requires regeneration cycles that burn extra fuel and wear the engine. If regeneration fails repeatedly, the DPF needs replacement at $2,500 to $3,500. The CP4 high-pressure fuel pump in 2019 plus models is a ticking time bomb. When it fails, it sends metal shavings through the entire fuel system, contaminating injectors, lines, and the tank. Total repair cost can hit $10,000 to $15,000. Some owners install a CP3 conversion kit preemptively at $2,500 just to avoid this disaster. Turbochargers last about 150,000 to 200,000 miles under heavy use. Replacement runs $2,500 to $3,500. Injectors eventually wear out and need replacement at $3,000 to $4,000 for all 6. These are high-mileage issues, not design flaws. Fuel economy is decent for a diesel at 17 to 20 miles per gallon combined, better on the highway. Towing capacity exceeds 30,000 pounds on newer models. Power ranges from 350 to 420 horsepower depending on year, with torque from 650 to 1,075 pounds-feet. The Cummins isn't number one because of the cost. Buying a Cummins Ram costs $10,000 more than a gas truck. Repairs are expensive. Maintenance is expensive. Diesel fuel costs more. Unless you tow heavy regularly or drive 30,000 plus miles per year, the math doesn't work. But if you need the capability and can afford the upfront cost, the Cummins will run forever. 2. 6.4-liter Hemi V8, 2014 to present. This is the engine Ram should have put in every truck. The 6.4 Hemi is what the 5.7 wanted to be when it grew up. It makes 410 horsepower and 429 pound-feet of torque, pulls like a freight train, and doesn't have the lifter problems that plague the 5.7. The 6.4 uses a different lifter design with better oiling and stronger materials. I've worked on 6.4 seconds with 150,000 miles that still run perfectly. The valve train stays quiet, the cam doesn't wear, and the engine just works. Fuel economy is terrible at 12 to 14 miles per gallon combined, but that's the trade-off for 410 horsepower. If you want efficiency, buy a Prius. If you want power and reliability, the 6.4 delivers. The main issues are minor. Exhaust manifold bolts break, just like the 5.7. Repair is $600 to $1,000. The MDS system can cause some oil consumption in high-mileage trucks, but it's less common than with the 5.7. A few early models had valve spring failures, but Ram issued a recall and fixed it. The 6.4 only comes in 2,500 and 3,500 trucks, so you're paying for the heavy-duty platform. But if you need a gas engine with serious capability and want it to last, the 6.4 is worth every penny. It tows up to 17,000 pounds, handles heavy payloads without complaint, and has proven itself over the past decade. This engine would be number one if it weren't for the next one. One best, 5.9-liter Cummins turbo diesel. I6 1989 to 2007. The 5.9 Cummins is the best engine Ram ever built, and it's not even close. This is the engine that built the Cummins reputation. No emissions garbage, no DEF, no DPF. Just an iron block, a mechanical fuel system, and enough torque to pull a house off its foundation. I have customers with 5.9 Cummins engines running past 700,000 miles on the original engine with nothing but regular maintenance. The engine is so overbuilt that normal truck use doesn't stress it. Guys tow 20,000 pounds daily and the engine doesn't care. The main problems are age-related, not design flaws. Lift pumps fail on 1998.5 to 2004 models. When the lift pump dies, the injection pump runs dry and fails. Replacing both pumps costs $1,500 to $2,000. The fix is installing an aftermarket lift pump like an AirDog for $600 to $800. The 53 block in 1989 to 2002 trucks can crack in cold climates if you don't warm it up properly. This is rare and preventable. Just let the engine warm up before driving hard in freezing weather. Injectors eventually wear out. At 200,000 to 300,000 miles, you'll need new injectors at $1,200 to $2,000. That's cheap compared to modern diesel injectors at $400 each. The killer valve springs in 1999 to 2001 engines can break and drop a valve into the cylinder. This destroys the engine. Replacement springs run $800 to $1,200 and fix the problem permanently. If you have one of these trucks, replace the springs preemptively. Power ranges from 160 horsepower in early trucks to 325 horsepower in late models. Torque starts at 400 pounds-feet and tops out at 610 pounds-feet. These engines respond incredibly well to tuning. A $500 programmer and $1,000 in supporting mods gets you 400-plus horsepower and 800-plus pound-feet of torque. Fuel economy is 17 to 22 miles per gallon, better than most modern diesels. Towing capacity is 10,000 to 17,000 pounds, depending on year and configuration. And here's the best part. These trucks are cheap. You can buy a clean 5.9 Cummins Ram, $2,500 for $15,000 to $25,000 and drive it for the next 20 years. The 5.9 Cummins is number one because it's simple, reliable, powerful, and repairable. When something breaks, parts are cheap and any diesel mechanic can fix it. You don't need a computer to diagnose it. You don't need dealership software to replace components. It's a truck engine built the way truck engines should be built. If you're buying a Ram, here's my recommendation. If you want gas, get a 6.4 Hemi or a pre-2013 5.7 Hemi. Avoid the 3.6 Pentastar unless you're buying new with warranty. Run away from the 3.0 EcoDiesel. If you want diesel, find a 5.9 Cummins and pay whatever they're asking. It's worth it. The 6.7 Cummins is great if you need modern capability and can afford the premium, but the 5.9 is the legend. Drop a comment with your Ram engine horror story or success story, and if you're shopping for a used Ram and want to know what to check before buying, hit subscribe because that video drops next week. I'll walk you through the inspection process that saved my customers from buying $30,000 problems. Keep wrenching and remember, the best engine is the one you maintain.